RMC is a roller coaster manufacturer which specialized in turning old rough wooden coasters into smoother, more thrilling experience by adding a steel track which can allow it to even go upside down. And in today's video, I'm going to be transforming one of the most legendary coasters of all time, Son of Beast, and give it the RMC treatment to see how good it would actually be. So I know that even though this thing would have still remained today, it wouldn't be possible to give it RMC treatment because the structure was kind of built pretty cheaply and yeah, it actually broke. And it was also an incident, meaning a lot of people had to go to the hospital, which is not that good to be honest. But yeah, the first thing we're gonna have to do is actually build Son of Beast. Let's go. But before we start, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you. So yep, we are now here in Planet Coaster 2, where we are going to build this legendary ride right here. So yeah, both have a video of the layout and also like a top-down view, so I can kind of get all the like angles and stuff correct. And I've also gone through a bit of videos to get like heights and stuff, all the important stuff to make this as similar as possible to the original. But yeah, the more I built of this thing, I just realized how bad this layout is. I don't know if the people that designed this were actually qualified to build a layout like this, but it's just horrible. They could have done so much more with it, but yeah, whatever. There's nothing we can do about it now either. But yeah, as I'm starting to build the first main drop right here, it's just impressive that I actually made this thing a hypercoaster, which means it goes over 200 feet or 60 meters. But yeah, after the drop we're going to this kind of wave turn right here, which banks pretty steeply, and this was probably known as the most rough moment of the ride. I mean, just look at this clip right here, you can just see how the train just painfully gets through there. But yeah, it's gonna be really hard to actually turn this into an RMC because of this long turns right here, which ended up cutting away while I'm building a lot because it took a long time getting all the shapes right, and it's just pretty stupid to be honest. And that this coaster had two of these like unnecessary 540 degrees helixes is just insane. But right here we now have the vertical loop, which is probably the best part of the ride because it wasn't rough and it actually gave some good like positive G-forces. But yeah, as I've now finished this layout, I can confidently say that this ride sucks. Even though it would have a smooth layout, it will still be pretty boring. I mean, you have some fine speed, you have the loop, you have the first drop, but other than that, this coaster doesn't really do too much. But yeah, all the complaining aside, I was now starting to work on the actual vertical loop and added this kind of Vekoma track around it, just to make it a bit more similar to the original, and also added these support pillars, which are based off an image I found of the actual loop, just to make it look a bit more realistic. But yeah, before we actually RMC the heck out of this thing, I just want to compare the two layouts to see how good it actually did. So yep, enjoy. So now the actual ride is totally finished. So as you see here, we've got the loop, we've got the station right here. I couldn't really find too many pictures about it, but I think it kind of looks like this. Then we have the massive drop, we have the turnaround. So yep, I ended up switching the stations right here. So here we have now the RMC train. And I guess we'll just delete the part of the original and then replace it with the new track and see what elements we come up with on the way. So yep, the first thing we're going to do now is this turn and the airtime hill and then the other turn into the station. So I have some ideas for this. I think it's gonna be really hard adding inversions to this, and especially this turn right here, you can't really modify it too much, maybe do like an outer bank up here, which is probably what I'm going to do. So yep, I've kind of finished the first part here of the layout, so I've added this kind of a bit steeper drop right here. I'm probably gonna change it a little bit, but then I've added this kind of dragon back right here, where you have these 3 like humps, which will give you a lot of airtime, and then outer bank here in the turnaround. And then you're up to the lift hill. So yep, now we've got to tackle this turnaround right here. I think I'm gonna maybe add a barrel roll drop, I'm not really sure. But yeah, we'll just see, because this turnaround right here is pretty big, to be honest. I don't think you can do too much about it. So yep, ended up adding this barrel roll here, just like the death roll on Iron Gauzy, just because I think it would be a pretty interesting drop. As you see here, it carries a lot of speed through, and also made it go kind of 80 degrees, so you still get that like drop feeling. So yeah, for the rest of the layout, ended up adding this massive outer bank right here instead of the small turnaround. And for the actual big helix, ended up splitting it up in only a 180-degree turn with this big airtime hill and then this small like speed hill, which leads into the second inversion, which is this hang time stall right here. And for the actual loop, I couldn't really do too much about it, so I ended up adding this kind of S-bend up to the actual mid-course brake run, where we have the second half where I gotta figure out what to do with these 2 like big turns right here. And for the first part here, ended up adding this turn into this pretty quick barrel roll right here, which leads into this overbank. And for the rest of the ride, ended up adding a pretty snappy inversion into the brake run.